about business, but humanity. Not about big bucks, but morality. Not about climbing the ladder of excellence, but that of conscience. Anuradha Bakshi of Project Y is a simple woman with simple hopes. Hopes of a respectable and fair lifestyle for those who are not privileged financially or socially but are gifted. Project Y is a Delhi-based non-profit organization engaged in education support and life skill enhancement of slum children and their families. She started off in 2000 to help Manu, and she has come a long way since then. She now blogs, has written a book, and successfully runs Project Y. Let's get to know the answers to some of the whys from the lady herself.
That's a question I'm often asked, and it has actually a very funny answer. The trust has got a huge long name in the memory of my father, in whose memory all this was started. And when we began our work, I mean, it was such a mouthful that everybody used to ask me to have a different and a shorter name for the project. And I used to keep saying, why? And funnily enough, one day I just said, let's call it Project Y. But in hindsight, I think it was quite intuitive, because what got me into this line was all the disturbing whys that come across your life. At Project Y, we actually give education support to children who come from government and municipal schools. We strongly believe that such schools should be running because the children have recently got their right to education. Well, that is one of our huge success stories. Actually, we have started about 12 years ago. And so our first batch of kids have passed their class 12. But of course, Project Y has a lateral entry, so we have children coming in at all ages and in all classes. And we're very proud to say that many of our children today have good jobs. They're working in companies, they're working in BPOs, they're working in media houses, and many of them have broken the barrier of poverty because some of their parents were vegetable vendors or people who were pressing clothes, and thus, with our help, they've been able to do exceedingly well. We also had one of our girls about 3 years ago who got the 11th position in Delhi in her stream. And this was particularly a great thing because the same girl had been deemed a failure in class 7. So yes, children who do stay with us pass their board exams with good marks. We also provide them computer education from a very early age, so they have a skill when they leave us. Many go to evening courses and corresponding courses for BA, and many go for direct employment. So yes, we definitely have had a big role in getting children to get better employment. This is probably a pet question, because this is also what makes me feel extremely sad, is that I feel that, for want of a better word, let's call them privileged or rich, but the privileged and rich class of our country is not at all concerned about the other side of the wall, which is the underprivileged and the poorer children, people. You would be surprised to know that we barely get any support from Delhi, and if we do get support from India, it's much more from other parts of India. There is a sort of a cynicism. You have people who would prefer being armchair philosophers and who would pontificate about, yes, the terrible state of education and the terrible state of children begging, but do nothing. I cannot understand why every one of us doesn't get absolutely, not only concerned, but absolutely outraged when a little child knocks at your window and asks for a penny at a red light. There is a lack of, let's say, sensitivity, a lack of, as you said, education. And I think that the persons who can do that are schools as well as parents. And I think that the fact that our children, our rich children, are not sensitized to what's happening in their own country is something that we have to remedy to. I mean, there have been many, many, many things that have touched me deeply and motivated me to go one step further on the road less traveled. But I think I'll share with you the very reason why Project Y existed. I came across a young person called Manu way back in 2000. Manu was looked to be 12 or 13, not more than that, and used to roam the streets half-clad, his hair not combed at all. You could make out that he was physically and mentally challenged, and he would let out these absolutely heart-rending cries. And I used to come across him off and on, and each time I heard him or saw him, something disturbed me deeply. So I decided to find out about Manu. And to my absolute horror, I found out that Manu was not at all 14, but about 24, 25-year-old, that he had a family, but his mother was dead, and that nobody really cared for him, and he was, people threw stones at him, and cars bumped into him for the fun of it. And some people threw food at him the way you throw food at a dog. The first thing that came to my mind was that I needed to give him back the dignity of his dignity in the very street where he was born, because Manu never went far away from the street where he was born. With Manu we started, and because of Manu, Project Y started, and we started looking after Manu. Proved that whatever anybody thought impossible was possible, because I did manage to get him what I wanted. But more than that, to me what it showed is that no life at all can be thought of as worthless. Because if there was no Manu, there would not have been Project Y with 800 children studying in them and doing well and all kinds of activities happening. So basically Manu did, show me the way in more ways than one. And he was and is still my strength. When I really feel like giving up, then I just have to think about Manu and I go on. But the answer will be very short and sweet. No, not helpful at all, in the sense that no, it's maybe not their fault, but we have not really sought government support or government funding. I think the challenge is to do it on your own. That is what I believe in. And on the other hand, whenever we have had to deal with the government directly or indirectly, we've fallen into the same trap of, people wanting bribes, and people, if you want to put one brick on top of what you have, then you'll have 10 people who there trying to tell you that you're doing wrong. But no, we don't take any help from the government, and I think we're much happier this way.
Well, my name is Anne-Marie, and I come from France. And I heard about the project through very good friends. And as a matter of fact, it's a personal relationship which I have with the center. And I came first in January, February, stayed 2 months. Worked with the boys and the girls in the afternoon, and came back because I really found it very, very interesting and worthwhile spending days here working with the children, because otherwise these children, most of them would be in the streets when they are not at school, and so I think the project to give them a lot of
Basically, we have about 17 special kids with different disabilities, everyone. And some of them we've been having since they're very small, since the project started. So now what we're trying to do is, like they've grown older, try more having a vocational skill and more of independent living activities for them. And the whole day with games and everything.
Police officer. Doctor. My favorite subject English. I live in New Delhi. I am a good boy. My name is Ayub Ali. My father name is Sikandar. My mother name is Nurja. मुझे इंग्लिश बहुत पसंद है. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky.